Hey, welcome to Area 51 Raceway. So I want to cover one thing that I always see when I'm on like live view, live chats and stuff is the one question that pops up a lot, which is, man, I wish I could solder. Well, you know what? You can solder.
You can
And
do
right in
it!
front of you is all what you need. And the thing about right now, how it's so great in the hobby, how everything's so easily accessible, is all this could be had through Amazon and could be had through very cheaply. Now, the soldering iron you see in front of you is a Weller. That is the only soldering iron you're ever going to need for scratch building or doing any type of maintenance or wiring or putting chips in on slot cars. That's all you need. And that soldering iron is under $40. And it's got enough wattage, which is 5 to 40 watts, which is perfect, up to 900 degrees, which is perfect. That's all you need. What? And then off to the right of it, you have the Stay Flux Clean or the Stay Clean Acid Flux, which is for soldering brass and piano wire and stuff like that. And then right down below it on the right is the paste flux. And the paste flux is for wiring only. You basically put paste flux for wiring and other things like that that you'll need. And then off to the left of that, next to the paste flux, is the rosin core solder, which is, I believe, the 6040. If I am correct. I'm not sure, but I have to look that up. So this is all you're ever going to need for soldering scratch built chassis and putting chips in and soldering wires and doing simple repairs on your slot cars. So let's head upstairs. Yes, sir, head upstairs for the new wood track room. Now don't get excited. I'm sorry the track isn't up yet, but the work area is, and I'm going to show you up there how to do simple soldering like wires and stuff like that. And we'll go easy so you kind of get an understanding. And I want to make sure that when you see this video, you ask a lot of questions. And I'll spin my email down there on the bottom so you could see it to get, answer your questions and stuff. So if you have some basic, simple questions, or, maybe we could chat on Facebook, Messenger through the Area 51 Raceway page. So I just want to make sure you guys all, get your how would you say, your uncertainty out of your system, because man, if I could solder, you could solder. I look at it that way, man. It's so simple. It's not hard to do. You have to get in there, get your feet wet, and do it.
You can do
So
it!
let's head upstairs now. So here we go. We're going to learn how to solder wire together. And I have a bundle of wire here. And I have one other thing that's important too, is strippers. And again, as I did this video, I'll throw some tools in there that you will need. This is a common stripper. This is a Milwaukee one. You get this, or you could get any stripper for small wire. This is a little bit big. And right here it tells you the gauge sizes: 20, 18, 16, 14, 12. And then there's a cutter here. As you can see, I've used this quite a bit. I'm going to need to get something else sooner or later. So this wire right here is, I believe, 20. So it's a 20. So what you do is you see the little 20 there. I hope you can see that because I know there's a lot of shadow right here. You get your 20 there and you just strip it like that. And that's that wire right there. As you can see, you didn't pull any of the strands. All you did was strip the insulation. Then what you're going to do is you're going to twist it just like that and get it nice and, twisted up so it's not frayed or anything. Then the next thing you're going to do after you're done with the strippers and move on the way. Now this is called pre-tinning the wire. So you always want to pre-tin your wire before you actually solder onto another wire, because what's going to happen is when you put heat to it, it's going to make it all flow together and make it easier to solder. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn your iron on and get it hot. I usually dial this up. There's a dial on the Weller from 1 to 5. I usually go almost to 5 or all the way to 5. I just get it hot as I can. You can turn the temperature down and it will range it from different temperatures. So I'm getting it super hot. Then all I'm going to do is get my flux right here. And I got a little stick in here, a little plastic. And have paper towels handy because it could get on your hands too. And or a toothpick. This is like a piece of plastic strip tubing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the wire and I'm going to coat it with the paste flux. All right. Then I'm going to get my solder. And it doesn't take much. And get a strand like this, and when the iron is hot enough, it should take about, see, it's already heating up, give it about, for this iron, give it like a little under 5 minutes. I don't know, I'd say like 3 minutes. So give it 3 minutes to warm up. you know, to get it nice and hot. Make sure it's, you know, hot enough to, you're gonna, you know, solder, you know, melt everything good. And again, this is a real simple process, not real difficult to do. And I'll show you how to join 2 wires as well. And we'll also do soldering wire ends on the motor, so you kind of see how easy that is also. So here we have the iron. That should be pretty much warm enough. Let me get it around the camera. Actually, let me do this. Should be fine. I may move the camera a little, so forgive me. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a little solder, and if it's hot enough, you're going to melt this. And there you go. So there it is, melted. And then what we're going to do is we're going to coat this. Just like that. See how it's coated? That is pre-tinning your wire. So this is ready to go right here. I'm going to put our iron back. And that is a pre-tinned wire. Really simple. Now, say you need to join 2 wires together, like you're doing a repair and a wire broke in between somewhere, you know, either between your chip or between the motor into the you know, guide braids or whatever, you know, the guide leads. Again, twist this wire, get your paste flux, coat it, get your iron, get a little bit of solder, and pre-tin it. There you go. That's pre-tin. Really simple. Then what you could do is get these 2 together. And this is what silicone mat helps. Or you could get also helping hands. That's another tool that's really easy. That is readily available, not hard to do. But we'll do it a little bit tough. Say you don't have helping hands. So we're going to do this. We're going to grab the wires. Actually, we're going to put a little flux. We'll put a little bit of flux. And we'll do this. We'll get it against the mat. Okay. Now here's where the easy part comes in when you pre-tin stuff. Now I'm going to put this iron on. And I'm going to solder the wire together just like that. Good, solid, not going anywhere. And I'm tugging this hard. There you go. Another way you could do it also is you could, for example, and this is another way of doing it too, if you want to do it this way, it's totally up to you how you want to do stuff. Say I want to put them together and just do it all at once. So let me strip it. And then what I'm going to do is get the strands, kind of roll them on each other. I should have made this longer. Let me make these longer. Let me make it a little bit longer, strip some more insulation off. Okay. Just like that. Got the insulation off. So I'm going to get my wire, and I'm going to say I want to strand it together like this. You could do it this way if you want. I prefer to do it the other way, but I mean, if you want to try something different, you can do it this way. This is getting a little bit tough to do. Let me strand these like this. Actually, I should have pulled them tight like that. There you go. And then get these wound together like that. It's going to take a little, you know, time to do this. There I got them wound together, and I squish all the wires like that. Then I'll get my paste flux, put it on there, grab some solder, and just like that, get a little bit more there. And there we go. You can do it that way too, but I prefer the other way. There's nice, not going to go nowhere. That's on there solid. So that's another way of doing it. So you have 2 different ways of doing it. I prefer this method because to me it looks a little better. But if you want to do it that way as well, that's another way of doing it. I'm just giving you guys different options on how you want to do it. Now, helping hands is another tool that's really good. And what it is, it's 2 little, like, it's a stand. Let me grab it. Here's helping hands. It's got a magnifying glass on this one. So here's helping hands. Helping hands, I've used this for chips. I want to do stuff. So helping hands is nice. And I put some little insulation around here so it doesn't pinch the wire so much. And this is what you could do with helping hands. So if you have 2 wires you need to put together, or if you need to put it on a chip, they do make an actual chip holder if you go on Amazon that holds chips. If you want to solder on the chips, so say I want to, and I'm cutting this wire up because it's just wire, extra wire I have. So say I want to put 2 wires together. I'm going to strip this and strip this one. See So you have to repair a wire on a chip, like in the center of it where it's like come off. This is where this comes in handy, the helping hands. The helping hands will hold one end of the wire here, and while you have the other, and these could be manipulated in different ways. And you have this one, and you could do this, which is another way of kind of helping, as I say, helping hands, helping you out. So if you want to solder two wires together, you could do just like that, and you just got to get these all lined up just like that. There's how I have it like that. And you say you already have them pre-tinned, you put them like that, and then you run the iron over it, heat it up, and you've tinned it already, so it'll solder all together, you know, right there real easily. And they give you a little magnifying glass if you want a magnifying glass to look for us old guys that have a hard time seeing things up close like me. So there's another tool that's available from Amazon. You don't need the magnifying glass unless you want it. Okay, it does come with it if you need it, but this is called the helping hands right here. Now, next thing we're going to do is soldering wires to, say, a motor like this, for example. This is an NSR motor that I took out that I was just playing around with. I took it out of a car that I'm messing with. So again, this is already stripped. So we'll pre-tin this again. All right, pull that right there. Get some solder, and then pre-tin it just like that. And then say you're gonna solder on your motor, you get some flux, put it on there. And it's not going to take much. You're going to see it sizzle, and then just like that. And you're going to see the color change too. You got to hold it for a little bit. If you don't, then it will come off, and then you won't solder it. So you see I did that. Hold it there. Let it go. And see it changes color, and now it's on there. And that's not going to go anywhere. You got it on there all the way. See? Nice tight fix. And that's how you solder wires to a motor, and how you solder wires together. Two different ways. You could twist the strands and flux it together, or you could do individuals, which looks better if you could see. Got a nice shininess to it. And then that's that. Now, they do sell small shrink tubing if you need to shrink tube this. I know I got it from Auto Parts Store. You can get them from Amazon. So this is 20 gauge wire, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yes, it is 20 gauge wire. And then you could get a sleeve over, and here's an example of one right here. I have a piece right here of shrink tubing, and this isn't enough. I'm just showing you now. Always before you solder them together, and like if you can't slide this on, you have to slide this on first before you solder. Otherwise, you solder it, you can't slide it on. And so say I want to slide this over like that, and sometimes you put too much, it can interfere with the sliding over, as you can see it has here. But you could use a little bit larger one. You just gotta make sure when you solder you don't leave a too much of a glob there. So this is not enough right here. So for example, if I slide this over here just like so, right, and it'll say you've soldered a wire, and it'll go over it. And then what you do is I usually get the soldering iron and just do this. And this is going to shrink it on there because heat is what it does. Just like that. I hope you can see that. Right over there. See how it shrinks it? Conforms it to the wire, and there you are. That is the insulation over it. So that's, if you do repair, you need to put insulation, because you don't want wires exposed like this, because if they hit the can or they hit something metal, then it's going to create a short, and your car's not going to run, or you'll pop the fuse in your inline fuse for your power supply to your track, or the CU or reset, or whatever system you have for your stock car. It'll short it out and protect itself. So this is kind of simple basics on soldering wire. So on next to soldering brass and piano wire, and we'll go over that.